Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Cybercast, brought to you by Cyberpunk News Online. I am your enigmatic host, the Gothic Wizard, aka Peter, administrator of Cyberpunk News Online. And we have another very interesting interview I'm looking forward to. I hope everyone has enjoyed the Lucy's interview last week. Very, very wonderful lady. And if you haven't checked that out, certainly hit up the website, cyberpunk-news.online, and go into the media section. And it's in the community folder. All of our Cybercast interviews. We also have interviews in there as well of some of the voice actors from the 2077 game, such as the actors who played Jackie and Pan Am. So certainly check that out. Speaking of the website, if you guys could do me a huge favor, head over there and register and just comment on the articles to try to help me, generate some buzz about the site. That really greatly helps me, and I certainly appreciate that. Now, as for the Cybercast today, we have a very, very talented virtual photographer artist, Nyx. He comes from South America. And I noticed him. He appeared in my feed when I was searching for cyberpunk media, and I really noticed him. Very, very talented. He seems to have a little bit of a fanboy with with Stranger Things, and we're definitely going to talk about that as well as cyberpunk. But without further ado. Nyx, welcome to the Cybercast.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. It feels good. It's
Excellent.
great.
Now, the very first question, and perhaps even the most important question, this entire interview, what is your adult beverage of choice today?
Today it would be I like classics, so an IPA. Today I'm going for an IPA.
Nice.
Ice cold IPA.
Nice. I am not an IPA guy. It's just too bitter for me personally. Though it seems like I am in the minority. It seems like everyone and their mother likes IPAs but me. So I don't know why I'm broken like that. But I respect the choice, sir. I respect the choice.
Go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, like, to each their own. Like some
Exactly.
people are into IPAs, some people like light stuff, super heavy stuff. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Generally, I when it comes to beer, I prefer porters and stouts. That's actually generally my preference. But any good beer, I'm happy with. Today, I am just like I was doing for Lucy. I am cracking into my last reserve of Sam Adams Winter Lager. So.
Well, you know what? Let's do it together, shall we?
Indeed.
Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go.
There we go. Salute.
Cheers, my friend.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
All right. So, as I mentioned, you are from South America.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and what got you into gaming in the first place.
Well, as much as I hate to admit, I am 33 years old. I am, according to certain people, like a boomer. But yeah, I mean, I've been basically gaming my entire life. I've been gaming since I got my first PC when I was 6 years old. And I don't know, like for me, gaming has been kind of like a platform to actually kind of like explore stuff. Also, a really good distraction. To get distracted from all like bad stuff in life. We all have to go through that. Mm-hmm. And it also kind of like turned into my safe spot in a lot of like harsh times in my life. So I mean, I've been doing gaming for like 27 years.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, and I remember my first game that I ever bought was a floppy disk version of Doom 2.
Wow.
That
Wow.
was my Kickstarter. Yeah. I'm
Nice.
old, but yeah, I don't know. Like I always also grew around a group of people that are also were into gaming. And that's how I met some of the most amazing friends that is some of them I still have to this day. So yeah, gaming has been I wouldn't say like my life because I had other things going on, but it was a big part of it.
Nice. And Skelly in chat says you're a certified grandpa.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
So, virtual photography. Is this the first game you got involved in that? And if not, what was your first game that got your interest in that? And B, what attracted you to virtual photography as a whole?
So so for as long as I can remember, I always like taking screenshots. Like in any game that I played, I had the option to do so. But I can say that I actually got really into virtual photography. Probably I would say 5 years ago. Um, I used to do a lot of GTA 5 roleplay.
Oh,
Uh,
like no pixel.
not to the level of no pixel, like, but yeah, kind of like yeah, that kind of like sort of like
But
stuff.
that kind of that kind of like
Yeah,
private servers kind of thing, role play.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and I remember I met this guy while doing roleplay. His name was Griffin, as Griffin, as in Gryffin. We used to we became friends both in character and off character. And one day he showed up showing this super amazing cinematic type screenshots, and I was like, how he do that? I was kind of like, how? Because it didn't look like any other screenshot that I have seen before. So I got in contact with this guy, and he basically showed me the ropes of modded GTA, and he also showed me how he actually took those amazing, super cool cinematic screenshots, and he showed me the ropes of what it's calling rocks. Basically, the closest you can get in the Rockstar universe to a photo mod is Rockstar Editor, or at least it was like that at the time. And after he showed me the basics, I started doing my thing, and I started taking pictures of myself and pictures by myself or my character and other characters and all that kind of stuff. And that was basically how that was my first experience with the amazing world of virtual photography. That was my first baby steps.
Wow. And you obviously took a liking to it.
I mean, I always had like a soft. I mean, the way I see photography, right, is like a way to actually freeze time into one single frame to actually kind of display something, either tell a story or actually share something, your vision on something, right? And when you actually are in a platform that it's all about storytelling, like it's role play or any other game for that matter, especially single player games, you're kind of like this. You're gonna be doing your own thing, just kind of playing the game and be like, "Yo, that kind of looks badass." Pardon my French. Uh, and this kind of even makes you think. I wish I could kind of freeze that so I can see it again and again and again and again. And yeah, for example, for me, since I started role playing and doing or even playing Cyberpunk, I came across a lot of those moments, and it feels great, and I also like sharing my view, what I see when I see those moments with other people. Not necessarily expecting for people to actually understand how I see things, but at least be like, whoa, that is actually kind of badass. So that's basically what always drew me to actually keep doing it.
Interesting. No, I totally understand and respect that. getting back to you brought up GTA. I assume you're a GTA fan.
I wouldn't say that I am like a fan, like a lot of people probably are. But yeah, I took the likes of GTA and the GTA universe a lot throughout the years. Yeah.
So you must somewhat be following all the rumors and innuendo of the next GTA in development.
Oh, I cannot wait. I
Yeah.
cannot wait. It's gonna be a good time.
So my view on that is, as you alluded to earlier, there is a pretty big what's really keeping GTA going, in the limelight and keep its interest going. While GTA 5 Online is certainly a part of it, I would argue even a bigger part of it is the private servers that people who are using the server emulators and putting up these role play servers, like the aforementioned No Pixel I mentioned, and there's several other really big role play servers. And I would really think that Rockstar would be really missing out and being very short sighted if they did not include more tools in the next version of GTA to help people do that, kind of like a Conan Exiles kind of model, where yes, you can play single player and and there are official servers you can log into and play. However, they also have the tools to run your own server. There's a scripting language where you can add your own content, and people can set up their own private servers the way they want. And I really think that's it's going to be a missed opportunity if they don't kind of move toward that direction. I want to know what your thoughts were on that.
I mean, I'm gonna start by saying kind of like rewinding back on what like my origins and how it all started and how it's GTA so appealing to me, and actually kind of like started my whole passion for taking pictures, more elaborate, more cinematic stuff. What GTA has, especially kind of like, for example, GTA 5, the latest release before the upcoming one,
All right.
is that it's very close to normal real life for a lot of people, right? Because you got the cars, you got like the clothing, you got the aesthetic, like
Exactly.
everything is very close to home for a lot of people.
Right.
That's also why RP is so appealing to a lot of people, like me, for example, right? But also, like you said, like GTA as it is right now, kind of like, let's be real, it's very lenient, right? Like you basically have to follow where the game is telling you to go, instead of actually giving you space to actually. I'm talking about like the base game, right? The Rockstar release.
Right.
And you're following a story and the game is leading you, and it's kind of like in a way passively aggressively telling you like you should do this, and that, right?
Right.
And I do agree. I definitely 100% agree that it's a wasted opportunity to actually give the player the room to actually make their own choices, develop their own story, even like character development. When it comes to like, for example, in GTA Online, in which you can actually basically create your very own avatar outside from Franklin, Trevor, and Michael. And I think that is a very powerful tool, having the chance to actually build your own products for actually people to write their own stories. So I definitely do agree that it would be a wasted chance to actually kind of like lead more into that direction, in which you actually have the power to actually build up your own story within the limits and the environment of the GTA universe. I absolutely agree.
Fair. So what? Now moving forward, what's your favorite genre of PC games, like role playing, first person shooter, fighting games. What's your favorite genre?
Oh, you're putting me in a tough spot right now. It's like choosing my favorite child. I would say I like dystopian stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like things that give kind of like a very kind of like in a way quote unquote pessimistic view of the future.
Right.
So and a lot of games can of different like kind of like genres can fall into that. For example, like zombie games,
Yep. Yep.
like a lot of them. But
So you like
honestly,
survival games?
I like survival games, and I do like shooters.
Okay.
Who doesn't like to go pew pew bang bang,
Right. Right. Right.
online.
I think
Uh,
we all like that from time once in a while. That's always fun to do.
yeah, but yeah, I would say probably yeah anything that shows that mixes survival and dystopia, and also I grew to like third person shooters better than first person shooters.
Yeah, I do too personally.
Yeah, because you get to appreciate even in, when you have the chance to even create your own character, you get to appreciate your character even more by looking at it like
Yes.
fully. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Skelly says, "Love the pew pew bang bang." Apparently, Skelly is a fan of pew pew bang bang too.
Hell yeah, especially the bang bang part.
Oh man, you said that right when I was taking a drink. I almost spit that out. So, yeah. So so you must have some sort of interest or attraction to computer role playing games.
Absolutely, yeah.
How did that develop? How did your interest in the computer role playing games start up? What was your first one that you can recall, and what hooked you?
Wow, that is a very you are making me think right now on a Sunday. Uh,
We don't fuck around here on the Cybercast. We ask the
No, no.
hard hitting questions. We ask
I can
hard
tell.
hitting questions.
No, I can tell I like it. Honestly, I think like my first real kind of like role play, kind of like make your own decisions, write your own story type of game that I ever played, that I actually took seriously. It was this one time, this one time that a group of friends and I had a D&D session online.
Okay.
It was, I am talking like about probably like 15 to 16 years ago.
Okay.
And that's how I was kind of like, I kind of like got properly introduced to storytelling, making decisions, writing a story on the spot, and yeah, that's basically how it all started. Like I wish I could say there's more to it than that, but that's basically it.
Okay, that's fair. The first, just for context, my first. I'm trying to think way as far back as I can. I think the first role-playing game I played was that dungeon crawl, Eye of the Beholder, right? Isn't that the
Okay.
name of it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like it was this dungeon crawl, 2D emulating a 3D world, kind of first person. I think something about Eye of the Beholder, something about the Beholder. It was like one of the first generation D&D PC games, and it was yeah, and I really that if that wasn't it, it was in that gold box era D&D games from SSI back in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. Yeah, those and that's kind of what hooked me. So it's interesting you say that.
Yeah,
So
I mean, yeah.
no, go ahead.
No. Don't worry about it.
Oh, so now Cyberpunk. So how did you get invested or involved in that?
Well, like I mentioned, I'm probably gonna mention this for the 10th time already. I am a big fan of dystopian genre, right? Doesn't matter the art form. Like I love like dystopian literature. For example, I love two of my favorite books of all time are uh 1984
Right.
by George Orwell,
All right. Yep.
and also uh Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
Okay.
Those are like and and because of that, like I know that like a lot of people are into mostly about the aesthetic. Well, not mostly, but they are very drawn into the aesthetic of cyberpunk, right? For me, taking into account that like love all dystopian, apocalyptic, kind of like the future is fucked, kind of like type things.
Right.
I got drawn into cyberpunk because of that aspect, right? And it's also, well, of course the like the aesthetic also helps because that game is beautifully made when it comes to that, when it comes to graphics. Uh, but it's also the fact that if you actually sit down and actually analyze reality as it is right now, and where science and technology and society itself is aiming, kind of like steering into, we are not very far from this. You know, like the over sexualization of everything, the neo, the like basically everything that cyberpunk puts on the table for you when it comes to context wise in the game. It's not very far. Like it's not very far around the corner. And also another thing that drew me to cyberpunk, apart from the trailer, of course, that it was amazing when I saw it. My jaw almost hit a hole through the ground. Uh, Also, I'm a big fan of the 80s, like music wise, fashion wise. And you know, if you put like dystopian future plus the 80s plus Keanu Reeves, there you go, cyberpunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this isn't his, fun fact for people who don't know. We're not overly familiar with Reeves, outside of his cyberpunk work. Is this is not he's done multiple cyberpunk genre films. His most famous outside of Cyberpunk 2077 is The Matrix, of course. But then there's also Johnny Mnemonic. And I believe he did one other, and I can't put my finger on it right now. But yeah, the cyberpunk genre is not alien to Keanu at all.
True, true. I heard of the first one, not the second one, so I'm probably gonna dig into it.
Well,
Like I heard of the Matrix, but not the other.
Oh, Johnny Mnemonic, yeah, that it is just I mean the story as a whole, it's nothing groundbreaking story wise, but it's a really good cyberpunk dystopian genre setting. They do a really good job on that level. So if you're looking for, hey, I want a decent cyberpunk genre film, that's really good. That's really good. I mean, is a story and some of the acting a little cheesy? Sure, but
I mean,
it's it is what it is for a late '90s sci-fi movie. It is what it is.
now let me ask you the same question. What drew you into cyberpunk?
Well, when we were talking before we started recording, I was talking to you about Shadowrun, which was a early, I believe the first edition came out in about '92, a cyberpunk genre tabletop role playing game, and that's the beyond the movies like Blade Runner and the typical cliche answered cyberpunk movies that came out that created the genre, helped create the genre in the '80s. That was the first non-movie fiction literature that got me into cyberpunk. and again, outside of the typical cyberpunk movies. And I was just totally drawn into it. I really was fascinated by it. This low life, high tech kind of genre, and it really fleshed out a lot for me. It really got my interest, and I've been a proponent of cyberpunk ever since. I played it since the second edition. And personally, I might lose a little, might get a little hate for this, but I personally prefer Shadowrun over the Cyberpunk Red / Cyberpunk 2077. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. I love the characters. CDPR did amazing with 2077. I'm not hating it at all. But if I had to choose between Shadowrun or the Cyberpunk setting, I would absolutely choose the Shadowrun. I feel Shadowrun, from a story, narrative, and background point of view, it makes much more sense. It's much more realistic, and it's much more grounded in reality than the timeline and the background of 2077. But of course, then, I always got my caveat of saying that is the Cyberpunk tabletop game is a product of its time. Mike Pondsmith, wrote it in like 95, 85, 86, somewhere like mid 80s. And it's a product of its time. So, I'm applying a 2023 literary lens onto something that was written, 2-3 decades ago. So, so I give it a lot of leeway. I give it a lot of slack because of that. It's a product of its time. And short of totally from the ground up rewriting it, you can't really do much with it. So I don't try to look beyond the surface level of the history of the corpse and the background and the world history and the world building they did. I personally, as long as I don't dig too deep into it, I just take it for surface value and I move on. Then I'm fine. It's when you kind of dig deeper into it that do I feel it all kind of falls apart and becomes more and more illogical if you think about it. So
that makes a lot of sense.
But again, I love Cyberpunk, not for it's not the world building or the game history, the game world history. It's the characters and the current day 2077 setting, and the story around V, and and that's what really grabbed me about it. The amazing writing, the amazing characters, the vibe of cyberpunk, low life, high tech. I feel they hit the nail on the head. They did a wonderful job with that. No one can. I don't feel you can honestly be critical of things like the music, the environmental design, and the artwork. I mean, the game is a masterpiece, artistic masterpiece in my view. Aside from the material it's based on, and that's the way I look at it.
No, that's perfect. That yeah. I mean, it's wow. I'm completely mind though. I mean, like I was paying attention to everything they said, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it's yeah, that's perfect.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Amazing. You need to stand for your right. To have
Exactly. Skelly says, very much appreciating the ongoing discussion as a literary major right now. Yeah, there you go, Skelly. I appreciate that, Skelly. That's what we do here on the Cybercast. We ask we're brave enough to ask the hard-hitting questions.
Oh, yeah. It's all about digging deep.
It is. So, when did you get involved in the 2077 game? Was it launch, or was it later down the road?
I actually, the day that they announced it, I think it was in the Game Awards, and it was available for pre-purchasing. I hit the trigger on that. I was like, I need this in my life. So I straight up fucking bought it. Yeah.
Oh, so you were at the very beginning.
I am one of the, yeah, we can say I am one of the OGs when it comes to that. Yeah.
But you bought it
Like,
on the PC, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Body
okay.
on
So,
Steam.
and while there certainly is a fair amount of criticism, and I don't disagree with it, what happened on launch, it was a totally mismanaged, bungled launch.
All right. Let me give you a little bit of an input into that, right?
Sure.
I have played games before Cyberpunk, for example, games like The Division 2, and all that kind of stuff.
Right?
So I'm kind of like used to playing games from day one that are not necessarily working as intended.
Right.
So while a lot of people were actually complaining about Cyberpunk and its performance issues and the glitches and you name it,
Right.
for me it was another day at the office. You know what I mean?
Oh, and
Like,
I was going to say, while there are legitimate concerns and gripes to be had on launch, and but I will say, as a PC player, for the most part, it was fairly playable. I had no. Were there some bugged out side quests? Yes, some minor side, like some gigs and some non critical side missions. Were there 2 or 3 that were broken? Sure. But I was able to play the main story from start to finish without one crash, without any game breaking bugs. Now, again, was it a perfect experience? Absolutely not. The AI definitely was undercooked.
Yeah.
There was a lot of visual bugs and glitches. Things like that. Things that took me out of the game, that broke my immersion, yes. But anything that prevented me from actually, completing and playing the game, I think in my first playthrough, which was around, I don't know, 50 hours ish, give or take, I think I had 1 crash to desktop. So to me, that's a win. For the first week the game was released, and I had 1 crash to desktop, and I had no bugs that prevented me from finishing the main story. It could have been better, absolutely. But was it a, oh my god, I can't play this game, it's unplayable? Absolutely not. And I will die on that hill. Now, as a console player, that's a whole other story. Those people, they had an absolute gripe to have with the game on release. To most of them, it was unplayable, and but as a PC player, I didn't experience 90% of what they experienced. I did not, so I can only judge what I experienced. Again, was it a perfect launch? Absolutely not. Was there issues? Yes, but was it unplayable or was it totally broken? Absolutely not as well.
I mean, we can both agree that CD Projekt Red actually got Cyberpunk out of the oven while it was still a little bit raw.
Oh, absolutely.
But it was not unplayable. It was still enjoyable.
Not as a PC player. I always got to say,
as a PC
player, absolutely not.
I'm not a console guy by any means.
Me neither.
So, I think that Cyberpunk, when it first came out, got a lot of unnecessary hate that it was not deserved at all.
It was cool to jump on the hate bandwagon.
It always is. Let's be real. Like, when it comes to the masses, and especially on the internet, it's very
drama is king.
And to actually jump on the hate wagon. Like, everybody wants to be part of that. I don't know. It is what it is. But right now, as it is, and I was actually having like this conversation with a really good friend of mine, that he recently came back to playing Cyberpunk, right? Because he tested it at launch and he was not very happy about it. And he said, holy moly, like, this game is actually pretty good and really playable right now. And I was like, I told you.
Yep.
I told you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really good fucking game.
Oh, this is the time to get into the game. If you never got into it, or you played it within the first 4 to 6 months, and you're like, yeah, this isn't working for me. Now's the time to get into it. Now, I will say, and I said this with Lucy, who was the previous person, the 2077 streamer I interviewed last week, and I'll say this again because I think it's worth repeating. I think it was CDPR should never have tried to release this on last gen consoles. That was their downfall. Trying to get this game, a modern game, to run on 8+ year old hardware was just insane. I mean, on a business level, I understand why they would do that because there's a huge market for PS4s and Xbox Ones. There's a huge, installed user base, and they did not want to exclude them. And I get that, but and again, I said this to Lucy, when I saw the trailer. And Skelly says a great point. Not to mention the PS5 shortages as well. Exactly, that was part of the. Yeah. That was a problem too. Indeed.
And to add up to that, like, you need to understand, like, Cyberpunk 2077 was released in 2020.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The year of the big pandemic.
Yes.
The big pandemic of the 21st century.
Yes.
Right. So there was, I kind of in a market perspective, I kind of I understand why it was rushed, because not everywhere in the world, but in most places of the world, people were staying home.
Right.
People were getting bored. People were looking for ways or means of entertainment.
Right.
So, because everybody was staying home, they was like, okay, I saw a business opportunity here. Like, people are actually itching for stuff to play. Like, gamers out there that maybe in their daily life before this were busy working all day and all that kind of stuff, actually right now are available to sit down and play a game for 12 hours straight. Right. So it makes sense to actually early maybe release the game so soon. So I understand why it was like I said, a little bit taken out of the oven while it was still a little raw. You know what I mean? Because
right.
Business-wise and market-wise, it made sense.
Right, and yeah, exactly, and as I mentioned, what I said to Lucy is when I saw the trailer, the first big trailer of when you see V walking down the street and there's dozens of people walking past him, cars and things flying overhead. I saw that trailer and I was just like, how in blue hell is this going to run on an 8+year-old console? The hardware in it at that point was like 8 or 9 years old. Like, I don't understand how this is supposed to run. Now, as a PC gamer, that wasn't my fight. That was my concern. But just in my head, I just did not understand I just did not understand technically how this game was in any shape, way, or form was going to run without it being severely stripped back. And unfortunately, I was right because it just couldn't. It clearly did not run very well, and it took them 12 months to get it to run at least fairly well on the last gen consoles.
You actually remind me of something, right? Like the moment you said that, it actually kind of painted a picture in my head. When Cyberpunk first came out, I was still running at 1070, right? Yeah. Like a GTX 1070. Yep. I was nowhere, I was kind of borderline just there to be able to run the game, but I couldn't get the juice, and explore it to its finest. Right. I remember very clearly, and I'm talking this, like I said, as a PC gamer, the first cutscene, because my first character was a street kid, right? With this, till this day, my OC Valeria is a street kid. A street kid is extraordinary. That when you get after you do the first first mission, you go with Jackie and Jackie tells you, okay, just come with me type stuff. Right. that when you get the cutscene that goes, "Good morning, Night City."
Yep.
I didn't see the cutscene, like the cinematic. It was my V right next to Jackie
Right.
walking around in T-pose. That gave me like that picture was playing in my head, and I almost died. I was drinking my beer, and I almost spit it all over my keyboard. So yeah,
Skelly,
yeah,
give me some Jackie emotes in chat. Hit me up with some Jackie emotes. Let's give Jackie some love. R.I.P. Jackie. R.I.P. Jackie.
listen, hear me out. Jackie is the ultimate chum. He's the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT.
Yep.
I love Jackie.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Jackie's the boy. When I interviewed his voice actor, I'll tell you, his voice actor was just as awesome as the character he played. A really, really amazing guy. I love. I wish there was a reason for me to do another interview with him. I wish it was more Jackie content, so I could have an excuse to interview him again, because that's how much I loved it. I had Jason Hightower is the actor's name who played Jackie, and Jason was he totally one of my most favorite interviews ever.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a crybaby. It's super hard to make me cry. But saying goodbye to Jackie was probably one of the hardest things that I did in my video game career.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think it was a mistake you bring that up. I really think it was a mistake for them to show in the trailer before the release that Jackie dies. I really felt, because then you kind of knew it was coming. You didn't know when, but you knew it was coming. And I really felt that was a bad idea. They should have kept that under wraps until people could actually play the game, and then they lose them. And I think the impact would have been much more if they didn't spoil it in the trailer.
I'm gonna tell you one thing, right? Like, I am a South American boy, right? I am Hispanic. I'm Latino. I've been raised with like certain kind of like type of morals, lifestyle, and all that kind of stuff. And I can relate to Jackie. That's how I learned to love Jackie Wells. Because he is kind of like the kind of guy that I would actually I would meet and become friends and go with a beer for a beer with, He's like he's a homie, and I think he was killed too soon.
Yes, I think everyone agrees with that.
Like, I understand the context and the loyalties and everything that made Jackie meet his maker, but I think that he still died too soon.
Oh, I 110% agree. Yes, I understand. There was probably, if I was a betting man, I would probably say there's probably more content they initially planned for him before his death that got cut. If I was a betting man, I'd say that's probably a fact. It does seem a little too quick. I really feel there was probably a couple more missions they probably had conceptualized with Jackie, or more interactions before his death to build up that emotional connection. But that said,
let me ask you one last question, though.
Yes.
This because I kind of really want to hear what your pick is on this one. When you're in Delamain's taxi,
yes,
with Jackie,
yes,
and Jackie is taking his last living breaths,
yes,
and he dies, what option did you choose? Take him to Big? Take him to Mama Wells? What did you choose?
I initially, when I first played the game, I sent him to Vix, not knowing the repercussions of that. I thought, Vix was his BFF, one of his BFFs, his boxing partner. Vic would take care of him. And I thought that was the smart move than dumping his body on his mother's doorstep and traumatize the poor woman. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to be respectful, and I thought Vic, being a street doc, that was the sound move to make. Clearly, that did not work out the way I thought it was going to work out, and that was a bit of a shock at the end of the game. But that's what I chose. What about yourself?
No, I always go take him straight to his familia.
Yeah, well, now I do that, yes. But in my first playthrough, when I didn't know the ramifications of my choices, I thought the best bet was to send him to Vic, and it clearly wasn't.
For me, it was more like an
and Pat's here in chat. Welcome, Pat.
Hello, Pat. Good to see you, dude. But yeah, for me, it was kind of like an instant thing, like almost in a way there's kind of like the role player in me. That pop out in that scene the first time I played, and I keep doing it with every beat that I play. If I was to die in Blaze of Glory and die like that, I want somebody to take me to my people.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And it's hard too, because then it's a gut punch. Because then you see, so I wish there was a little bit more clarification what happened to Jackie after he got dropped off of Vic. How did it go from going to Vic's to Arasaka got him, and then they engrammed, and they made him an engram, and then now he's trapped in this digital hell. You know, I didn't really, that seemed to be a little gap. I mean, if there was something, I missed it, but I never really saw how those two aspects got connected.
Honestly, I saw like that ending where spoiler alert, by the way, to any listeners. So that, like, you see, I saw a YouTube video that went through all of the endings, right?
Right.
Right after I actually went through a couple of them that I already knew. And when I saw the reuniting with Jackie as a almost like a hologram type stuff, and like be trying to talk to Jackie, and Jackie barely even it's not even conscious, or even doesn't know that B is in there 100% type stuff. It was probably one of the most heartbreaking things I've seen in a while. It was kind of no, my boy isn't there, but he doesn't know me. You know?
Exactly. It was another gut punch. It was another gut punch. It's like I already, at the very beginning of the game, I'm already traumatized because I lost him, and now, it's just ripping my heart up again. Yeah, it was. It was two gut punches with Jackie.
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough, man.
It was, and like you, there was 2 or 3 parts in this game that made me tear up. Again, the trailer spoiled Jackie's death, so while I was upset, I wasn't totally, shocked by that. I might have gotten a bit more emotional if I wasn't spoiled in the trailer by that. But the parts that did tear me up was Evelyn's suicide, walking into Judy in the bathroom. That was shocking. That was unexpected. I didn't see that coming, and that made me tear up.
I feel awful.
That was a gut punch. That was a gut punch.
I feel awful because I never cared about Evelyn at all, ever. Through any of my playthroughs, I was kind of
no. Evelyn she didn't do anything to endear yourself, but it was how that impacted Judy. I was empathizing with Judy in that scene.
No,
right.
Yeah,
Evelyn was, I'm sorry that happened, but I didn't feel any great love or affection to her. But by that point, I had really grown toward Judy, and knowing how this was Judy's BFF, and just
I think
the
there
trauma
were more
that affected me.
I have the feeling that they were more than that, though. More than best friends, that is.
You think there was a little something going on?
I think they were probably, they would slide into each other's DMs,
like a little, like friends with benefits kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah. So that and if you look at it in that way, that that's even harder.
It is.
That's if you look at it at that level.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Skelly says the suicide ending is probably one of the most intense video game endings I've ever experienced. Yeah, I know. That shocked me. That really shocked me. And that was really an emotional gut punch when I walked in and seeing poor Judy, her mascara running, crying, just that teared me up. I'll tell you and there was one other scene. I'm trying to remember what it was that made me tear up.
For me,
I think it had something to do with Pan Am, and I can't remember what it is.
For me, another thing that I wouldn't say that I cried, but it hit me in the like a friend likes to call it in the fifis, the feelings. Is when you do one of the endings, finding out that Rogue is dead. Like seeing Rogue died.
Oh, get stomped.
When she gets killed by Adam Smasher. Yeah. Oh boy, that was painful. Because I also do have like a lot of people who knows my work know that I call Rogue my dummy mommy MILF, and I love her.
My god! My god! Here we go. See, I was talking to Lucy about this again in the last interview on how I find it very humorous that you have all these simps for Rogue and Carrie who are like 80 plus years old, and it's like.
Listen, I appreciate the elderly. All right, that woman ages like fine wine. Okay.
You know what? Sir, I respect you for your honesty. I respect you for your honesty. You know what? It takes a real man to say, I have a granny kink. It takes a real man to say that, and I appreciate that. I don't.
That. It only comes out with Rogue. Like, have you seen Rogue?
Well, of course.
Like, for real. I mean, she doesn't look a year older than probably like 40.
Well, that's because of 2077 plastic surgery, let's be honest.
I mean, you want to hear something funny?
Yes.
Like, I don't like to think that my OC, like the target of all my portraits, it's not like it's a celebrity or known by any means. I like to think that I am as an artist. I'm a pretty like a big underdog. But I even like it feels weird to call myself an artist. That's anyways. But my character, like you have seen my character, right? You are familiar with that red hair beauty. Lore-wise, she's almost the same age as Rogue. There you go. The more you know now.
Skelly says you're a man of culture.
Like I said, I mean, look at Rogue. Like, what is not to love about Rogue? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, as a character, I find her fascinating. She's really interesting. But I will say, and this isn't just about Rogue. What I'm about to say is one of the few story beats that I think was a miss when it came to CDPR. I think they were trying to put so many Easter eggs to the original source material from the 2020 role-playing game that Cyberpunk 2077 is based on.
Yeah.
They tried to put so many Easter eggs and tried to pull so much material from the original role-playing game that they just went overboard. Because if you really think about it, you have all these 80, 90-year-old people running around. And that's fine, like Rogue and Carrie and all of Johnny's band members. They're all 80, 90 years old, and they all look like you said, they look like they're 40 or 50. And, because of cyberware and the cosmetic surgery of the time. And that's fine. I have no problem. I don't have a problem accepting. The problem I have accepting is every one of them living the cyberpunk, edgy lifestyle. None of them's retired. They're all in the spotlight. They're all doing runs and covert things behind the scenes. They're all doing crazy things. Everyone from the original source material has survived to 2077. Not one of them has been taken out by assassination. Not one of them has gone down because of a bad run or bad mission. Not one of them just died of natural age. It's just like they've all survived, and there's like no casualties anywhere. And I found a bit immersion breaking. Like everyone from the source material is alive. They're all grandpa, grandmas, and no one. There's just like no casualties in all that time. And with them doing all these crazy, shadowy operations and missions and all these most likely high level enemies they have at this point, and they've all survived. And that was, I just found that, less is more in my view when it comes to that, and the fact that they've all these major NPCs, they've all survived. I just found that a little unrealistic and immersion breaking in my view. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense, but like my input on that, this is probably me talking about like from my own very own experiences and the things that how my own brain process things, right? Mm-hmm. We all kind of like see things differently. I do understand where you're coming from, and it makes a lot of sense. And to a certain degree, I agree, yeah. But I think that like, how like the human brain kind of has the capability of filling up the blank spots of either something that is not there or something you didn't necessarily understand. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, let's say that I say something because of my accent or my tone of voice or whatever, I say something that you don't fully understand just by hearing it, but by context, you fill in the blanks, right?
Right.
And I feel like that is kind of like also kind of like, that also kind of like translates to the game in how much sense you can make out of stuff, Like, even though it's not written and well detailed in there to actually, and it's almost like you said, immersion breaking. I think it's up to each player or each person's perception and conception of things to actually fill in those blanks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree. Yeah, even like for me that I am a fanboy of the Cyberpunk game and its universe, there's some stuff that don't necessarily make a lot of sense to me too, like either.
I don't harp on it too much. Again, I just go back to what I said earlier. It's a product of its time. A mid '80s tabletop role playing game. So yeah. you gotta take some of it with a grain of salt. You can't. You're just gonna really give yourself a headache if you dive and try to look into things too deep. So you just got to take it with surface value and move on. But that is the one thing that I think CDPR did have control over, and that they, I just feel narratively speaking, they went to that well one too many times in my view. That's what I'm saying.
But let's be real though for a second here. You look at Rogue, and you look at even like Carrie, they don't look like they're like elderly people. Like if anything, they're mature. No, you know what I mean?
And again, the whole them, you can rationalize the medical technology of the time, it can de-age them or whatever. Again, them looking half their age isn't really my big problem. My problem is. All of them are working in the shadows, and they're all doing these covert things, and they all have mega enemies, I'm sure, at this point. And like all of them, all his band members, all these major NPCs, none of them's bit the bullet,
True.
That's I just like, it just kind of took the danger away from it. Like all these people survived. No one took a bullet from any mission they've ever been on. They've they weren't assassinated, and because you could have some very narratively interesting things, like for example, maybe one of Johnny's bandmates, they got murdered, and that would be they got murdered 20, 30 years ago, and Johnny, once he comes back and gets in your head and blah blah blah, and he realizes that he wants to use V. Hey, my bandmate, yeah, we might not have been like, best BFFs, but I at least owe them to track down their murderer, who killed them 30 years ago, who set them up to get killed. And I think, so you can still include them, they just don't necessarily need to be alive. That's what I'm saying.
No, yeah. And also kind of like, this is the last thing I'm going to like add up. And then I'm going to do another plug to my OC, the person that I like to, like, in a way, in the shape of pictures, like to role play us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are familiar with this, a lot of people are not. But like my OC, Valeria, was meant to be part of the original lineup of Samurai.
Okay.
And she was actually killed by Arasaka.
Okay.
She was one of the casualties of that war that we were talking about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, almost killed because she got put into cryogenic stuff and woke up a couple of decades later. But that's a whole different story.
No, that's cool. I can buy that.
That is kind of like one of the things that I was saying. Like, it's up to the player to fill those spots.
Right.
But like for me, I took it on me to actually be like, I see this that doesn't necessarily make sense to me, and I have this character. I'm gonna get her involved in this, and actually kind of like based on those things that are out in the air, floating, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm gonna try to make a story out of it.
Right. That's fair.
I think we've been talking about this
for
so long.
So, I did want to talk to you about if on the pictures you've posted on the Twitter.
Yes.
You seem to have a little bit of a Stranger Things fan. You're a bit of a Stranger Things fan because you have what's his face from Stranger Things, Billy.
Billy.
Yeah, you have a little bit of some Billy action in your photos. Talk to us about that.
All right. First and foremost, big shout out to my girl Hello Mojo. She's the owner of Billy, the one and only, the legend himself.
Okay.
So the story behind it is, I wouldn't say like I'm a big fan of Stranger Things, but I really did like the show.
Okay.
I watched basically the entire series, mostly during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like the fact that I included Billy. My pictures more related to my background as a Cyberpunk VP, if you want to call it. Because when I first started in Cyberpunk photography, I was like, I had a GTA background, but I was not nearly as good as some of the people that were already established in the fandom and doing virtual photography. And I learned a lot. And I mean like big deal inspiration by watching Hello Mojo doing what she does best. Like taking pictures of Billy, right? And I learned just by watching her work, her alongside people like Sneaky, Black Cat, Greendera. I'm doing a lot of shout outs, sorry. To stop me if I'm doing too much.
No, feel free.
Like Greendera, Sneaky, even Sway, that I know that you interviewed her not very long ago. Like, those are my mentors, right? And what better way to actually kind of like honor your mentors, your roots, the people who inspire you, that actually try to at least bring any sort of detail as an ode to them, or straight up bringing their characters to your very own work, And like if you put like the fact that I already knew Billy, from Stranger Things, and I love the show. Plus, the person that is one of my mentors, uh, owning a copy of Billy and teaching me stuff through her work. That's how I started doing like the whole Billy stuff and shipping, like people call it, shipping my character with Billy.
Oh.
And also Skelly is spawning the emoji of the sandwich because her character, my character, Rogue, and Billy have like a sandwich. Kind of like fiesta going on.
Nice. Nice. So, talk to me about the process. From how long does it take you to go from an idea for a picture to all the way to posting it? What's the process? What tools do you use, and how long does it take?
Well, there's not kind of like an estimate time that I can tell that this is how long it takes me, because it all depends on what I'm looking for in a picture, right? Like if it's kind of like a super simple portrait of my character or any character for that matter, probably takes me between 20 minutes to 45 minutes to set it up. But if it's kind of like a big thing in which I actually like to add props or post my character with other characters or stuff like that, it probably can take me like hours. And when it comes to the tools that I use AMM. You know, AMM is kind of like almost like a must-have. Well, it is a must-have if you actually want to have like very complex photography to spawn anything from NPCs to props and all the good stuff. So AMM by Maximilian, it's top-notch in that sense. I also use Odes screenshot tools and alongside Cyberlit. I use it to set up lights, also to hot sample because I play the game in 1080p because I don't have a 4K monitor or anything that it's basically worth actually trying to take my graphics to the next level. And the hot sampling tool allows me to actually take pictures in 4K or 5K. Other than that, I also use reshade, but I am very basic when it comes to the reshade. I know there's a lot of people that have like super complex reshade presets going on. I usually just use three things. That is cinematic DOF for the depth, perception, and all the good stuff in the picture, and filmic pass. That's basically, I'm super basic in that sense. And after I set up a picture and I have everything that I want or anything that looks decently good, I use Photoshop or post-processing. And that's basically everything that I have going on when it comes to my work.
Nice. All right. Well, let's. I've got you over an hour here, so let's just wrap up. I certainly don't want to take up any more of your time, but I greatly appreciate it. Very, very interesting. So tell the folks how they can check out your work, your socials, anything else you want to promo. Go at it.
All right. Well, like I said before, I'm not a very big social media guy, but you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, I am at Nyx. It's kind of like it's Nyx, but Nyx. And when it comes to my Instagram, I am basically the same as Twitter, Nyx and VP at the end. Nyx VP. And I don't do commissions because commissions is kind of like involves kind of like monetizing work. I don't think I'm that good, but I'm more than down to take requests. If I can, I will do it. If not, I'm so sorry. So yeah, that's basically everything that I have going on.
Awesome, and we'll have links to your socials when this video podcast gets posted as well, so people can be able to find you as there. But I want to thank you, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure. Very interesting. I think we've had a really good chat.
It was definitely I had a lot of fun, and awesome. I appreciate you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you for coming. So, thank you so much, and everyone, you'll be able to check this out at cyberpunk-news.online. And check out our Twitter at Cyberpunk Feed, Cyberpunk FEED. So, thank you all, and have a wonderful day for everyone listening. And of course, remember not only to treat yourself well, but let's treat each other well as well. Have a wonderful day, folks.